Hello! If you're new here, hi, I'm Squid. Today I'm going to be attempting to beat Salt and Sanctuary using only potatoes. In Salt and Sanctuary, potatoes are a consumable item. Your character is incapable of eating them, but you can sure throw them at enemies. And they sure do damage. A couple years back, a challenge runner called the Backlogs, aka Submerged Lemon, did this run. Now, after completing the run, he has repeatedly warned everyone not to attempt it for the sake of their sanity. But Lemon, you know your fans. This was going to happen eventually. At the time of the Backlog's run, the only way to obtain potatoes was via a low-chance enemy drop, making it borderline impossible to get enough tubers to beat the game. So the only way to reasonably get enough potatoes was through the use of mods. Since then, the devs have made potatoes a buyable item for most in-game merchants, for a measly price of 5 gold, making the run now doable in the vanilla game. God help us all. Now Squid, I hear you say. 5 gold is nothing. You should be able to buy more than enough potatoes to beat the game, easily. And yeah, the low price makes it easy to get huge quantities of starchy, tuberous vegetables. But when you're dealing maybe 7 damage to enemies that are weak to potatoes, you start needing a fuck ton of potatoes. And every time you die, you lose 10% of your current gold, and however many, often hundreds of potatoes you used before you died. And there isn't much we can do to increase our damage either. No rings, charms, or buffs affect potatoes. The one saving grace with this item is that they slightly scale with dexterity. And I mean slightly. Like, against enemies that are weak to potatoes, I went from dealing 7 damage at the start of the run to a little over 20, and that's with 50 dexterity. But I'm sure I'll be fine. My sanity will definitely remain intact throughout the run. Anyhow, I'll quit rambling. Let's get started. I make a lovely character, then choose the chef starting class. The chef starts with 14 potatoes, which is 14 more than any other class. It might have been wise to start with a class that has a higher dexterity, but oh well. More tater tots for me. I run over to the Unspeakable Deep and... well, it's an optional boss anyways. I talk to an old man on the beach, and I choose Devara's Light for my creed, because of his powerful healing pots. Even the game knows it's going to be a tough run. I claim the Sanctuary, then go grab the Stone Merchant. After selling most of my belongings, I'm able to get to 99 potatoes already. This is the quote-unquote inventory limit. We'll get to that later though. I parry a guy just for the fun of it, then grab the Bandaged Ring, which decreases the wounding effect. This will definitely come in handy for some of the longer boss fights. Anyhow, time for the Sodden Knight. Okay, that isn't horrible. But the Sodden Knight is weak to our potatoes. And we are doing 7 damage. Well, it still doesn't take too long to finish the fight. I used the gold from the Sodden Knight to get back up to 99 potatoes. Only being able to hold that many at a time does serve an issue though. Most bosses will take far more tubers than that to take down. But if I drop those potatoes on the ground, then go back to the merchant, I can buy more. I do this a couple times, and when I pick all of them back up, I have a total of 396 potatoes. Good stuff. This is technically an exploit, but the run is impossible without it, so I don't mind doing it. On the way to the Queen of Smiles, a scarecrow strikes up a conversation with me.
Curiosity. What creature persists in the face of such suffocating despair? The others have begun to kneel. Will it join them?
No, thank you.
Such a brave, foolish curiosity. It will struggle then, and it will bleed, and it will fall. And one day, when it finds itself beaten and broken, gasping for air, choking on its own blood and tears, that will be the day that it heals. And I will consume it.
God, I hate small talk. I go grab the wrapped link for some better rolls, then move on to the Queen. That is significantly worse than the Sodden Knight. Oh dear. This fight really isn't too bad. If you stay far enough away, she mostly just lore walks at you. Although I'm still getting used to this quote-unquote playstyle, so I take some damage. Exactly 200 potatoes later though, the Queen goes down. With the levels I've gotten so far, I start investing in dexterity and healing potions. Later on, I'll put a few points into willpower as well, when I can spare a few pearls. Right now though, I just need more damage. I buy a few more potatoes, then start making my way through the Watching Woods, picking up the bright coral ring on the way. Up next is the Mad Alchemist, and that could be worse, honestly. Again, keeping my distance is the name of the game, and our almighty potatoes hold the power to stop enemies mid-air, which helps keep the alchemist away from me. It gets a little hectic in his second phase, but the fight goes pretty smoothly. I'm up to 1,000 potatoes now, and I still have gold to spare. I don't want to buy too many at a time though, because the game tends to crash when you drop a lot of items on the ground. Alright, time for the Kraken Cyclops. This is the longest fight yet, by far. The bosses are getting more and more aggressive now, and I have less time to throw potatoes. He also has a beefy health bar, and I'm dealing 3 damage per potato. After a bit of patience, he goes down. This definitely makes me worry about what's to come though. Right after that is the False Jester. He has way less health than the Cyclops, but he attacks faster. I found that running to one side of the arena, throwing a few potatoes, then repeating, worked pretty well. Learning to be patient is going to be the biggest thing here, as the fights are starting to take longer. I get the Vertigo brand, throw a few potatoes at this guy's foot, decide it's not worth it, then move on to the Castle of Storms. Here I grab the Mending Band. This is going to be another helpful ring, especially for when I run out of health pots. I chat with the Masterless Knight, then take on the Kraken Worm. Whoa, 10 damage? That's the first time we've seen double digits. Though even with our outstanding DPS, it's still a long fight. It helps that we can hit him mid-air though. The Worm's attacks are all easy enough to avoid, so he goes down after a little while. The Thief gives me the Shadowfoot brand, which I used to make my way down to the... Oh, this guy again.
It persists. Does it wish to know me?
Yeah, sure, why not?
While they scurry to and fro, I am. While they cherish their petty deities, idols, and false lords, I am. While they fight their trivial wars, live and die for mortal kings and scoundrels, I am. All priests of false gods kneel to me. All kings of empires great and small kneel to me. Life kneels to me. Death kneels to me.
Awfully full of himself, isn't he? I'm sure we don't need to worry about him. Anyways, I choose to go to the dome first, because I'm a little scared of the Tree of Men. And here, we find the first roadblock of the run, the Untouched Inquisitor. Normally, he goes down in just a few hits, but when we are dealing 4 damage per potato, that's a different story. And he can almost kill me in 1 hit, which does not help. I'm not used to actually having to worry about this guy, so I'm killed for my hubris. Multiple times. After restocking my potatoes, I fall back to the strategy of running to one side, avoiding the bullshit enemies that can hit you from outside of the arena, throwing a couple taters, then doing that for over 5 minutes. I have a feeling it's only gonna get worse from here. Speaking of worse, the third lamb is up next. Let's see, we're dealing, looks like about 4.5 damage per potato, and the lamb has 2,500 health. It's gonna take over 550 potatoes. This may take a while. Yeah, 3 minutes in and we got maybe a third of its health down. Expecting to be here for a while, I sat down, put on a song long enough to last the fight, and got to work. But on my second attempt, this happened. After 10 long minutes of intense concentration and close calls, the lamb spirals out. I think I can almost see. I continue to avoid the Red Hall of Cages by running over to the Ziggurat of Dust. I do the usual parkour shenanigans, then take on the Dried King. Compared to the previous boss, he's not so bad. On my first attempt, I made the mistake of getting one shot, then I put on some more fire-resistant armor. Ooh, I look good in blacksmith armor. But the second attempt goes better. All his attacks are really easy to avoid, especially when you can stay at range. After that, I talk to the sorcerer. He seems to be having a bit of a rough time. He gives me the dart brand though, which is much appreciated. Alright, I've avoided it for long enough. Let's go do the Red Hall. At the Tree of Men, I start by taking out the men. They take about 12 potatoes each, so phase 1 takes a while. As per usual, I have a hard time predicting the attacks with this one, but once I make it to phase 2, it goes fine. Having the dart brand really helps with this fight. It only takes around 150 potatoes to bring him down. Yeah, how's it feel getting stun-locked with a goddamn vegetable? As we progress through the game, the NPCs are starting to notice things are wrong. This island, it's not as it should be. Time seems to flow kind of weird here, and buildings, cities, empires are all out of place. I try to ignore the existential dread of that and drop down to the disemboweled husk. This one's pretty tough, our damage isn't getting any better, and the bosses are getting more and more health. The husk also happens to have a Glock, which isn't great for our strategy of staying away. There's still plenty of time to cover him with potatoes though, so he goes down after a few minutes. I buy, quite frankly, an irresponsible amount of potatoes, then get some antidotes in preparation for the next boss. So, that stench most foul. I literally cannot kill the minions as fast as the stench spits them out, so I'll just have to try to avoid them. Which is easier said than done. Yeah, maybe we'll come back to this one. I jump down to the prince the intended way, then... Oh no. So, he has 3,500 health, and I'm doing 5 damage per potato. I don't need to do the numbers to know that we're gonna be here a while. At first, I tried keeping my distance from him, but I can't avoid his body slam attack consistently enough for that to be viable, so I chose to stay up close. He's slow, and his attacks are easy enough to read, so I can whittle him down pretty safely. Patience is the name of the game here. Once he gets below half health, he starts doing this stomp attack, which can be a little tricky to avoid. Still, after a grueling 18-minute fight, he goes down. These bosses are getting more and more strenuous. I'm worried I won't be able to keep up if they keep spiraling upward. And of course you're here. What do you want?
Does it know what I have done?
No, and I don't know if I want to. I make my way through the ruined temple and try my luck against the coveted. There's something very surreal about chucking hundreds of potatoes at an axe while ghosts pummel the air around you. Anyhow, we're dealing 23 damage against this boss, which is the best we've seen so far. There's plenty of opportunities to throw potatoes, so after a measly 3 minutes, I'm able to take them out. I run into the sorcerer again. He says something about having a shadow, one that leaves him messages and wears the same clothes as him, almost like he's been here before. I make my way through the pitchwoods, parkouring my way to Karstjaw. As per usual, our damage is pretty good against him. Still hits hard though, and I need to get better about watching my stamina. With that in mind, I get him on the second try. I'm starting to see what the sorcerer meant about this place feeling wrong. And what he said earlier about the shadow, what did he mean by that? I don't understand. This place must be messing with my head. The end of the... where? Okay, that's the dexterity soft cap. This is as good as our damage is gonna get. Alright, let's see who's up next. Oh, the witch. Oh no. So, I have trouble with this boss on a regular run, let alone with only potatoes. The problem is that all of her magic attacks have the ability to stunlock and one-shot you, if you're not careful. So I have to get good enough at avoiding them to last several minutes against her, all while finding time to throw potatoes. I died over and over, steadily depleting my reserves of potatoes and gold, every time just to wake back up at that sanctuary. Eventually I think something just broke. I could finally dodge that stupid ball attack. I could avoid everything. And after a 6-minute fight, the witch went down. I think I can finally see. I've been here before. I know where I need to go. When I arrive back at the Shivering Shore, I'm stronger than ever, emboldened with the power of potatoes. Here I find the sorcerer again. He seems to have come to a similar conclusion as me. Everyone on this island is stuck in a cycle, endlessly waking up again, never to escape. I think there's a way out, though. In the Salt Alchemastery, I find the Unskinned and the Architect. Okay, it looks like 20 damage against the Unskinned and half that for the Architect. But that could be worse. The main challenge with this fight for me is avoiding the light orbs. though I end up just running to the other side of the arena when the architect summons them, so it's not too bad. After the obligatory death or two remembering how to fight them, the unskinned falls, then the architect. There you are. I was looking for you.
It persists and persists, but for what? Survival or dominion? It can flee and survive, or it can remain and claim rule. It will find both of these feats impossible. What does it strive for then, survival or dominion?
I think we both know the answer to that. I've got a few loose ends I want to tie up now, the first of which is in Maul's floating castle. Maul isn't too bad, it's just a matter of staying out of the way of the light rain and figuring out how to dodge this attack. Because it takes so long to whittle her health bar down, I find out for the first time that she has a third phase. When her health gets below 25%, she starts attacking much faster after she teleports, and she does that way more often. The more you know. Next are the Forgotten Kings. Our potatoes do the most damage against the king and the knight, so I focus on them first. When you can stay at range, this one really isn't too bad. But just don't get between them all, that usually ends badly. Second try though. Skurs doesn't put up much of a fight, despite having an intimidating health bar. All of his attacks you can just jump over and you're fine. The one attack I have trouble with is this one. I feel like I can never find a safe spot. After just 350 potatoes, he goes down. Okay, I think it's time we try this one again. And I tried. For several hours. Our potatoes do 2 more damage than when we were here last, so that's something. I still just can't take out the minions as fast as they spawn in. By the time the fight's halfway done, the screen is full of them, and they make it hard to hit the actual boss. The sheer amount of them makes standing still a death sentence, so good luck healing or popping an antidote. Though it is pretty satisfying threading the needle through them. I died so many times to this boss, and I wanted to beat it so bad. But in the interest of time and my already dwindling sanity, I think it's best if I just admit defeat. It's doable. This fight can definitely be done. My best attempt got the stench to 1/4 of its health, and if you play it smarter than I did, you can probably take it down. But I just don't want to throw myself against this boss anymore. Unfortunately, this prevents us from fighting one other boss, Ronin Kran. You need the Redshift brand to access Kran, and that's locked behind the stench. I tried, but as powerful as our potatoes are, they cannot break the barrier. I think Ronin Kran would have been very doable though. He has a lot of health, but it's not too hard to find time to get hits in. And then there was one. I descend into the Still Palace, mulling over everything that's happened, everything I've learned. I've been here before, so many times. Whether I die or find a way to so-called salvation, it doesn't matter. I just wake right back up again. And I know it's not just me, but everyone who finds their way to this island. We're all stuck in this cycle, this spiral. But there's a way out. And it comes in the form of a starchy, tuberous vegetable. It's over. The Nameless God was nothing against our potatoes. And now that he's gone, we can free this island from the cycle. I walk up to the puppet, take its helm, and end the run. And that's it! Vanilla Sultan Sanctuary beaten with only potatoes. This one was pretty rough, but I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I had a lot of fun making this video, even if it drove me a little insane. I'm never going to be able to look at potatoes the same way again. I wanted to try out a bit of silly storytelling with this one. Nothing too deep or serious, just a bit of fun. Again, this is a tribute to the Backlogs potato run. I'll link it and his channel in the description. It's a much higher quality video and channel than this one, and his videos have always been an inspiration for me. I'm pretty disappointed that I wasn't able to beat all the bosses in the game, curse, you annoying little fuck, but that's okay. Maybe someone else will be able to. And I'm just happy this run is doable in the vanilla game now. Anyhow, that's all from me. Goodbye guys, goodbye.